The WNBA entered this season with high hopes, determined to show the world that this was finally the year women's basketball would step out of the shadows. It was meant to be the breakthrough, the turning point, the season where ratings would soar, arenas would fill, and skeptics would be silenced. Instead, what unfolded was one of the most chaotic and devastating collapses in league history. A downward spiral that has left fans, players, and analysts alike asking one haunting question. Has the WNBA already squandered its golden opportunity? All started with Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever rookie wasn't just another player joining the league. She was a phenomenon. She carried with her an unprecedented wave of hype, drawing in new fans, selling out arenas, and pulling television. Numbers the WNBA hadn't seen in years. For the first time, mainstream sports media couldn't ignore the league. Clark was everywhere, on highlight reels, social media, and late-night talk shows. The WNBA had never had a star like this, and for a moment it looked as though the league had finally cracked the code to national relevance. But then, just as quickly as she rose, the tide turned. When Clark went down with injury, the air seemed to be sucked out of the league overnight. Ratings plummeted by more than 50%. The Indiana Fever, once the hottest ticket in town, saw their viewership collapse by over half. Playoff games that were supposed to be marquee events turned into afterthoughts, with audiences vanishing like smoke. The WNBA had built its momentum almost entirely on the back of one player, and when that player was gone, so was the audience. The drop wasn't just steep, it was catastrophic. It was as if the entire league had been built on a house of cards, and one injury sent everything tumbling down. The timing couldn't have been worse. This was supposed to be the season of growth, a chance to prove that women's basketball could stand shoulder to shoulder with other professional sports. Instead, it turned into a cautionary tale. Fans quickly realized what the league itself should have known all along. Life without Caitlin Clark was bleak. The WNBA suddenly felt like Netflix without Wi-Fi, completely unwatchable, frustrating, and empty. Those who had tuned in for the spectacle found themselves turning away in disappointment, wondering if there was anything left worth watching. And yet, instead of confronting the problem, the league tried to spin it. Social media posts painted the picture of excitement and momentum, but fans weren't buying it. Comment sections filled with sarcasm, memes of empty arenas, and frustration boiling over into open mockery. People weren't just tuning out, they were losing faith entirely. Even the All-Star Game, once considered a potential showcase for the league's brightest talent, saw ratings crash by over 40%. Without Clark, without star power, without anything resembling consistency, the WNBA had nothing left to offer but damage control. But the problems went deeper than one player's absence. Beneath the surface, cracks in the foundation of the league had been widening for years. The officiating this season became a running joke, with referees making baffling, inconsistent calls that left both players and fans exasperated. One game, a shove was ignored. The next, a player sneezed too hard and found herself ejected. It was chaos masquerading as basketball, with referees who looked more suited for mall security than professional sports. If officiating is supposed to provide structure, in the WNBA it became another source of disorder. Then came the injuries. Clark wasn't the only star forced to the sidelines. Night after night, players were falling like dominoes, their bodies, paying the price for a league that seemed incapable of protecting its own. Angel Reese, one of the league's most marketable young stars, abruptly left mid-season, a shocking move that raised questions about whether the grind of the WNBA was simply too much. Sophie Cunningham went down as well, another name added to an ever-growing injury list. The WNBA season began to look less like a competition and more like an orthopedic surgeon's holiday bonus. And where was the leadership in all this? Nowhere to be found. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert continued to stand in front of cameras, insisting the league was thriving, that growth was steady, that momentum was building. Her words felt like fiction, more delusion than leadership. To fans watching half-empty arenas and TV ratings collapse, her reassurances rang hollow. It was like the captain of the Titanic praising the ship's design while water poured in from every direction. The disconnect between the league's reality and the commissioner's public image only deepened fans' frustrations. It's not that fans don't care. Quite the opposite. The WNBA's diehards are some of the most passionate, loyal supporters in sports. They buy tickets. They buy jerseys. They defend the league endlessly online. But even the most loyal fan has a breaking point, and this season tested those limits. The product on the floor was sloppy, the officiating laughable, the marketing hollow, and the leadership negligent. What was supposed to be a year of triumph became a year of betrayal. The most painful part of this collapse is that the WNBA had the perfect opportunity. Caitlin Clark gave the league something it had never had before: mainstream attention. She drew in new fans, new sponsors, new media coverage. She made people who had never watched a women's game before sit down and pay attention. For a brief moment, it felt like women's basketball had turned the corner. But instead of building something sustainable, the WNBA squandered it. They leaned too heavily on one player, failed to protect her, and watched as everything unraveled. The moment she was gone. Imagine if the NFL allowed quarterbacks to be treated the way Clark was treated, constantly hacked, body-checked, and pummeled with little to no protection from referees. It would never happen. In the NFL, quarterbacks are sacred. You so much as breathe too hard on Patrick Mahomes, and the referees will throw a flag before you even finish exhaling. Why? Because the league knows its stars are its lifeline. Protecting them isn't just good sportsmanship, it's good business. In the WNBA, by contrast, Clark was tossed around like a rag doll, her safety treated as optional, her star power squandered by negligence. The fallout has been devastating. Ticket sales cratered, television ratings collapsed, even casual fans, the ones who had been drawn in by the promise of something new, abandoned the product in droves. What should have been the WNBA's coming out party has turned into a grim reminder of how fragile the league really is. Without Clark, without star power, without leadership, the WNBA feels less like a growing league and more like a collapsing experiment. Yet the saddest truth of all is this: it didn't have to be this way. With better leadership, with stronger officiating, with a real commitment to protecting its players, the WNBA could have built on Clark's momentum and carried it forward. Instead, it fumbled the opportunity at every turn. What should have been a season of triumph became a season of embarrassment. Now, the league faces an uncertain future. Fans are angry, players are frustrated, sponsors are watching closely. The WNBA can continue to pretend everything is fine, but the truth is impossible to ignore. The league is limping toward the finish line. Its once promising season reduced to a blooper reel of missed opportunities, empty arenas, and falling ratings. The WNBA thought this would be the season of growth. Instead, it grew into something else entirely. A mess. A spectacular, embarrassing, undeniable mess. And unless something changes, unless real leadership emerges, unless the league begins to treat its stars like the lifeline they are, this disaster will repeat itself season after season until there is nothing left to salvage. Because if this season proved anything, it is this: hype alone cannot save you. One player cannot carry an entire league, and no amount of PR spin can disguise the truth. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and the world is watching to see whether it can survive its own failures or collapse under the weight of them. So I'll leave the question with you. What do you think? Has the WNBA already squandered its golden opportunity? Can the league recover from this disaster, or has the damage already been done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the stories shaking the sports world.